Hello, you glorious over 3,000 people and the 83% who have yet to subscribe. Welcome to another video, or welcome to another deep dive, and in this one we're going to be looking at the Lumineth Realm Lords, the Lords of Magic. That's right, we're looking at the High Elves 2.0 in Age of Sigmar. And yeah, we've got the Lumineth Realm Lords and their battle trades. So we've already kind of seen of these guys. We kind of seen a lot of these guys before, on the run-up to the launch of the game. They were featured in a Warhammer TV battle report with 2 World Championship players playing them against Lumineth versus Skaven, and it was pretty cool. They're a pretty solid army. They always have been pretty good, let's be fair. Teclis is a bad boy, and Elves are Elves because they're annoying no matter what setting you play them in. 40k, Eldar, High Elves in the Old World, and obviously Lumineth Realm Lords in Age of Sigmar. So their battle traits, what do? So they've got a passive ability, which is when players are alternating picking units to use a fight ability. When it is your turn to pick a unit, you can pick 2 units instead of 1, resolve the second fight immediately after the first. Basically, this is a crossover from the old Warhammer Fantasy Battle days when Elves or High Elves used to have always strikes first. They can't always give them always strikes first because that's really overpowered. So instead they allow them basically to have this. I don't really agree that they should still have this because they've kind of, and I'm going to talk about this later on, they kind of have, they've already sort of incorporated an elf thing to their war scrolls. So I don't really think they should have this rule, but cool, it's thematic, they've got it. That's it. So the other thing that they have about their army is called Facet of War, and this will tie into your battle formations later on as well. So the first one is the start of your battle round. At the start of the battle round, you pick a Facet of War. So you can only use this ability if you have not used the Facet of War ability this turn. All right. So you basically, there's one Facet of War how you're going to play and fight that turn. So they're a little bit sort of thematic. You know, Cities of Sigmar have their orders. The Seraphon have their weird quest things that they get to do, and they get one, and then late by turn 3 they pick a second one if they've achieved the first one. So this one is, the first one is the Shining Company. So subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target friendly Venari units for the rest of the battle round. -1. So Shining Company used to be a rule on the battle war scrolls, and it used to be for likes of Wardens, Dawn Riders, and Sentinels. It's now a army-wide thing. Well, for friendly Venari units. Okay, in your shooting phase, again, if you haven't used this ability, and you've not used a Facet of War ability, you can pick up to 3 friendly Hurricane units that are not in combat with to be the targets. Interesting, my opponent didn't do that last week. So each target can move a distance up to its move characteristic if not moved into combat during any part of the move, and it cannot use a shoot ability for the rest of the turn. So basically you forego your shooting and you run, skittle away, which is kind of good. So next one, the next Facet of War is the Power of Heesh. So you basically just pick this, and then all of your crits are done on 5s rather than 6s. This is super strong, and obviously, this used to be obviously a spell on their war scrolls, like Blessing of Heesh, which was to turn mortal wounds on 5s and 6s rather than just 6s. And now basically their critical wound, their critical whatever it is, will now be on a 5 and 6 rather than just the 6. So pretty solid. Deep Thinkers, again, used to be another War Scroll ability, which is now just a Facet of War. You can only use this ability if you have not used any Facet of War abilities for this battle round. Add 1 to the casting rolls for friendly Sinari units for the rest of the battle. Basically, your wizards, +1 to cast on your wizards. That's pretty good. If you've got a turn that you really want to sort of pump out a lot of the magic, this is really, really handy to do. And then at the start of the battle round, Enduring Rock. So basically this is for your cows and your Stone Guard and your Stone Mages. you can choose this one and subtract 1 from the range characteristics of weapons used for attacks that target friendly Aldereth units for the rest of the battle. Again, really, really solid, especially if you're leaning into that mountain temple side. Next up, we have battle formations. So battle formations obviously are how you're going to build your army, and it will dictate bonuses to elements of the army. So you've got 4 here. Surprise, surprise, shock, horror. So the first one is the Venari Battle Host. You can use the Power of Heesh ability in addition to a facet of war ability during the battle round. So basically that means you always got Power of Heesh on. So you're always going to do 5+ on your rolls to hit to get your crit hits off. That's really solid, especially if you're bringing a lot of Dawn Riders and you're bringing a lot of Sentinels and a lot of Wardens. That really builds into that theme of the army. Next up, we have the Sinari Council. So you can use the Deep Thinker's ability in addition to any other facets of war during the battle round. So if you really want to go magic heavy, you're taking a lot of wizards, you want to make your army really focused in on that, a lot of manifestations, then this is obviously the one to do. You can kind of see a theme growing here, can't we? That the battle formations are going to be around how these facets of war work. And then we have the Alrath Temple. Surprise, surprise. You can use the Enduring Rock ability in addition to any other facet of war during any other battle round. What does that mean? It means that your army, Alrath units, are always going to be -1 rend, and you're also going to be able to do something else that turn from one of the others. So you can use your Power of Heesh, you can use your Deep Thinkers, you can use your shooty ones if you've got some Hurricane Wind units in your army as well. And speaking of your Hurricane Wind units, the Hurricane Temple is also the Grace of the Hurricane. You can use the Move Like the Wind ability in addition to another facet of war ability using this battle round. These are really, really good. They're really, really simple. They're really, really easy. And they're really, really impactful to the game. Being able to use 2 of them per turn based around how you theme your army is really, really good. And as you will see, some of these temples are pretty damn strong. Next up, we have hero traits and artifacts of power. So the first, obviously, the hero traits are these are given to one of your heroes that are not unique. So no, you can't give this to Teclis. So reaction, you declared the redeploy command for a friendly Lumineth Realm Lords unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit. If you roll a 1 and 3 when determining the distance, it can move a value of 4 instead. Cool, so you're guaranteed a 4 on that redeploy roll. It's pretty good. It's not bad. You might want to get out of dodge, so it's okay. Once per battle in any combat phase, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. Inflict D3 plus 3 mortal damage on that target. That's really strong. It is only once per battle, though. Then, once per battle, a reaction, you declared the charge ability or a spell ability for this unit. Paragon of Heesh. You can re-roll the charge roll or the casting roll of that ability. Again, it's only once per battle, which is a shame. I think this should be basically once per turn. It is a hero trait. It's only going to be on a hero. And let's be completely honest, there aren't any real like combat monster characters that you could put this onto. Like, they've got the Light of Alarum, but he's a named character, so he can't have it. Teclis is you can't, most of your big powerhouses when it comes to characters, either combat or magic, are named. So I think that this personally, I would make this once per turn. But hey, that's just me. Out of the 3 of them, the combat one's pretty good. But it's one, again, I'm not a big fan of once per battle unless it's really impactful. It could be really impactful if you got that, you spike that D3 and you get 6 mortal damage. So I would probably, on the one that I can use the most and get the most utility out of, probably go for Masterful Tactician and get that redeploy of a guaranteed 4, because that could be handy. Artifacts of power, again, can go on non-unique heroes. So you've got passive, the Phoenix Stone. If this unit would be destroyed, before removing it from play, roll a dice on a 3+. This unit is not destroyed, and any remaining damage points have no effect. Then heal 1 to this unit. This unit can not use this ability again for the rest of the battle. The Phoenix Stone is really good. It come over from the previous editions. The fact that it's only heal 1 is something that kind of puts me off. Yeah, and it's a 3+. I think it should be heal D6 personally, and the 3+ is fine. Okay, so Silver 1, something that you see a lot of on in armies is if this unit is not a wizard, it has a wizard 1, otherwise add 1 to the power level. Plus 1 power level on a wizard, it's really good. Some wizards might be wizard 2 and non-unique heroes, so this is able to get a wizard 3 hero on the battlefield, which is really, really good. So once per battle, your movement phase, Waystone, remove this unit from the battlefield and set it again anywhere on the battlefield. Now, I like this one because it is only once per battle, but it gives you access to a teleport. And as we know, teleports are incredibly powerful, especially in objective-based matches where you have a home objective like Border War that you may need to be able to get it. And when your opponent knows that you have a teleport there in your arsenal, it makes them be a little bit less ballsy and forward pushing with their army, because they kind of have to hang back a little bit, which means at least one unit is not getting involved in the fight, or one hero is going to be hanging around holding that objective, because, you know, you're going to teleport onto it and take that objective. And in some cases, those deep objectives could be worth 2 or 4 points. And that's a big swing when it comes to that turn. So that's kind of good. For me, Silver Wand or Waystone is probably the two that I would probably pick, to be fair. Next up, we have Spell Law, the Lord of Heesh. So it's now 3 spells. You'll notice some big changes here. So the Speed of Heesh, so basically cast on a 5, Amazeballs. Pick a friendly Lumineth Realm Lord wizard to cast the spell. Pick a friendly Lumineth Realm Lords unit, wholly within 18 inches. 18 inches, that's amazing. Of them to be the target and make a casting roll. Add 4 to the target's move characteristic until the start of your next turn. You're an elf. You're already really fast already. And now you're going to get +4 to your movement just for Speed of Heesh. Now, Speed of Heesh used to double the movement, which meant Dawn Riders used to be able to cast it on themselves and then move 28 inches. Move 28 inches. That wasn't run 28 inches. That was they just move 28 inches. It was bonkers. But this is really cool. +4 to your movement. And it's a really low value to cast, which means you're probably going to get it off. Really handy. Makes you really, really fast. Really, really good. And it's an unlimited spell, so multiple units can benefit from this and be cast from multiple wizards. Ooh. So, Overwhelming Heat casts on a 7. Pick a friendly Lumineth Lords wizard to cast this spell. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of the target and then make a casting roll of 2d6. Half the target's movement characteristic until the start of your next turn. Then roll the dice. If the score is equal to or exceeds the target's save characteristic, inflict D3 mortal damage on the unit. Now, how is this good and what does it do? 1, if you're playing against Chaos Warriors, Chaos in general, you can half their move. They already move pretty slow in anyway. I think most units move 4 to 5 inches as it is. So you're going to be making them move about 2 inches. Awesome. Plus, they have a really good save. Some units have 2 up, some have 3 up armor saves, which means that you're going to be rolling a dice and you have to equal or exceed that value, and then you're going to do D3 mortal damage on them. It's a pretty easy one to do. Now, if you're playing against undead and you're targeting against zombies, yeah, okay, you're going to slow the zombies down, but you're not really going to do any damage to them because they've got an armor value of 6, or in some cases, they don't have an armor value, and therefore your dice roll is not going to be able to do any effect to them. This is a good spell. It's kind of got some really good utility, and it's got an amazing range of 18 inches, which is really, really good. But then what do you expect? It's Lumineth Realm Lords. The last, you've got your hero phase, Protection of Heesh, cast on an 8. Pick a friendly Lumineth Realm Lords wizard to cast this spell, then make a casting roll of 2d6. Until the start of your next turn, that's the biggie, friendly units have a ward save of 5+, while they're wholly within 12 inches of the caster. It's a bit shame that's only wholly within 12, but it is better than the usual last edition 9 inches, which is what it used to be. I like this. Okay, it's pretty cool. It's kind of almost as good as what Teclis used to have, and it's better than what the the spell law used to have. So it's a good one. So yeah, and it's a 5-up ward, and until your next turn. So yeah, you're gonna have enough wizards to sort of pop this off at least. At least think about popping this off. So next up, we have the Manifestation Law. Yes, Lumineth Realm Lords have their own manifestations. So obviously, they all cast. So the Sanctum of Amanotok casts on a 4, and obviously you set it up. There's a lot of rules for this because this is the one that's the ring that goes around the caster. Now, the way this works is there's not a friendly Sanctum on the battlefield. You can cast it, blah, blah, blah. You pick a friendly Lumineth Realm Lords hero, wholly within 12 inches of them, and then more than 3 inches from all other units and twin features, and then you roll 2d6. You set up the Sanctum around the target, visible to the caster, and all 3 parts must be touching. So it forms like a circle around, and then it does stuff. You kind of sort of I don't think you can move and stuff, but we'll have a look at them anyway. Then we got the Rune of Petrification, probably quite a popular one. Again, it's cast. Set up the Rune of Petrification wholly within 18 inches of the caster and visible to them. There is no restriction on putting it anywhere near your opponent. That's right, you can literally drop it right on top of them. And then you got the Twin Stones, which is set up wholly within 6 inches of the caster. So, casting on a 5. But we will be going through them now. Okay, so we have the manifestations. So the first manifestation is the Twin Stones. So obviously we know how this is cast. So you add 1 to the casting rules for friendly Lumineth Realm Lords units while it's wholly within 6 inches of this manifestation. This is really good if you don't want to use your Fate of War and anything else. You can drop this down and you're going to start getting a +1 to cast. Now bear in mind you have a wizard that can basically auto cast this on an 8. So really kind of handy. You can drop it in your backfield where all your wizards are sort of hanging out and then get that +1. It is only wholly within 6, but if you have a really important wizard, having it stood right next to this is really handy. Next up we have the Rune of Petrification. Again, this is an end of spell. It has a ward save of 6, a 4 up save, move health of 7, and it is banishment of 7. Now it doesn't have attack profiles at all. This basically you just pick an enemy unit within 6 inches of this manifestation to be the target. Roll a d3 for that for each target, and then on a 2+ inflict an equal amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. If a target has 3 mortal damage inflicted on it, it strikes last. So you kind of you literally can put this next to your unit. It's casts wholly within 18 inches of the caster, and it doesn't need to have any limitations on where you can put it. You just have to. It has to be within 18 inches of the caster. It's pretty decent as well. It's going to pump out the mortal damage and potentially striking last as well. So if you time it nicely, you can really sort of screw up your opponent there. Then we have the Shrine of whatever this is. It doesn't move. It doesn't have a save. It doesn't have a health, and it banishes on 7. Basically, while the unit was picked to be the target of the Summon of the Sanctum ability is inside the ring formed by this manifestation, that unit has a 4 ward save. If that unit is a wizard, add 1 to the unit's power level. So again, you're going to be able to get a 3-cast wizard here by taking a 1-cast wizard, which are relatively cheap, giving it the silver wand, and then putting it inside of this. Instead of measuring range or visibility to that unit, measure to the manifestation instead. So you kind of extend out a little bit, so you're gaining a couple of inches. This manifestation cannot be picked to be the target of abilities other than a banishment spell. And if this unit has a move ability, makes pile-ins, or is removed from the battlefield, this manifestation is removed from play. So if you need to move, you can just move the model and it automatically just disappears, which is really kind of handy. But if you can kind of really sort of tie this in if you have this manifestation and a couple of the other things kicking around. You can really sort of get a 3-cast wizard. You can put the Twin Stones next to it, so you're now like getting +1 to cast, and you can really start pumping out those spells. And most of your spells are like 18-inch ranges, so it's not bad. But you do gain quite a large footprint of where that model is going to be. Archmage Teclis, our first war scroll, is the big boy himself, and he comes in at 590 points. There's a bit of a big points decrease for old Teclis boy from last edition. Like last edition, he was well over 750 points, I believe, pushing almost on 800. Which is interesting that he has come down, and people like Archeon and Nagash have not. So obviously he is a War Master, he's unique, he's a hero, he's a monster, he's a wizard 4, he flies, and he has a ward save of 5+. Nice that he has an inbuilt ward save now. So He is a 5-up save. He's Teclis, he's an elf, he doesn't need armor. He moves 10, he has 16 health and a control of 10. He has his Lunar Staff, which is a 12-inch range attack. 1 dice, hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, -2 damage. Sorry, -2 rend, d6 damage. No abilities, it's okay. Then he has Sword of Teclis, which is 2 attacks. 3s and 3s, -2 rend, d3 damage. And then he has Selenar, which starts off at 5, but can drop down to 3. 3s and 3s, -2 rend, 2 damage, companion attack. Now, he's pretty decent in combat, but he doesn't pump out that many attacks, and he's not pumping out that much damage. Like, Teclis isn't really meant to be fighting. If you're fighting with Teclis, things have gone wrong. So yeah, you know, just bear that in mind. But he does have a few passives. So, passive, he has the Aura of Selenar. That's his big flying moon owl thing. Add 1 to the casting rolls for other friendly Lumineth Realm Lords wizards while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. +1 cast is really, really good. Again, that's going to stack with your Facets of War as well, so you're potentially getting +2 to cast. Then once per turn, army in any combat phase, Spirit of the Moon, pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target and then roll a dice on a 3+. The target cannot issue commands for the rest of the turn. Brutal. And then he has passive Archmage of Teclis. So instead of making casting rolls for this unit, you can use a value of 10 for the roll that cannot be modified. In addition, instead of making an unbinding roll or banishing roll for this unit, you can use a value of 8 for the roll that cannot be modified. Now, that's kind of cool. Now, it doesn't say if it's board wide. Now, he used to have board wide. The Slan and Croak say that he can basically dispel board wide. This doesn't. So I'm going to say that he has to be within 30. So Teclis is not as good in Magic as a frog. Let's just have that there. But he can just auto cast on a 10, which is really good. Now you then need an 11 or a 12 to unbind it. And he can unbind on an 8, automatic 8. That can't be modified. So you've got that option there that you can get rid of those low cast spells that are being cast, or you can roll your dice to try to get your to spike your dice and get rid of it. So, you know, he's not as potent as he used to be when it comes to his Magic game. So your hero in your hero phase, he has a spell, Searing White Light. This was pretty much known as the Teclis Bomb, and it casts on a 10 pick, which obviously you can auto cast. Pick an enemy unit of a different pick a number of different enemy units within 18 inches of this unit to be the target. Any number, so basically all of them. Then make a casting roll of 2d6. Roll a d3 for each target. On a 2+, inflict that amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. Not as good as it used to be, but it's okay. For 560 points, he's definitely worth it, and he brings some decent utility. He's not the magic powerhouse he used to be. Next up, we have the Light of Alarum. Probably one of the coolest models Games Workshop have ever made. It's a suit of armor without a dude inside it. So badass. And he comes in at 250 points, which is pretty decent. So he is obviously unique. He's a hero. He has a ward save of 5+, which is interesting to see. And he has a 3-up armor save. Probably one of the best armor saves you're going to see on an elf unit in this battle zone, because it's an elf with a 3-up save, which is bonkers. He moves 6. He has a health of 6. And he has control 2. Now, basically, it's just a suit of armor with magical person inside. It's not really a person. It's like an essence of a person. He has Searing Darts of Light. It's a 12-inch range, 3 attacks, 2s and 3s, -2 rend, d3 damage. It's pretty good. Multiple dice is always quite nice on these attacks. Then he has his melee weapons. The Fang Sword of Eltharion, 4 attacks, 2s, followed by 3s, 3 rend. 3 damage each, and it does crits 2 hits. So you roll 6s to hit, you're getting multiple hits there, doing -3 rend, 3 damage. That is bonkers. Then he has the Sinari Blades, which is 2 attacks, 2s followed by 3s, -1 rend, 3 damage. Anti-hero and anti-monster. He is not to be sniffed at. And for 200 points, he's an absolute combat monster, which is something that the Lumineth Realm Lords have often lost and don't really have, is out-and-out powerhouses when it comes to close combat. But Light of Alarum is definitely that unit for you. He's like a mini Godric, or at least he used to be. Maybe he's better than Gotrek now. Who knows? We'll have to have a look at Gotrek someday. Spirit Armor. So ignore all modifiers to save rolls for this unit. So basically, he's like a Nighthorn. He's just he's always going to have a 3-up armor save no matter what. Now, passive. Ignore negative modifiers to hit rolls and wound rolls for this unit's attacks. In addition, ignore negative modifiers to this characteristic of this unit's melee weapons. Basically, you are never going to debuff him. He's always going to hit you on a 2, and he's always going to wound you on a 3. Period. You don't really need to start spending command points on this model to all-out defense or all-out attack, and there's no point of you as an opponent spending stuff to defend yourself against him because he's just going to ignore it. He is an absolute beatstick and absolutely, totally worth 250 points. Next up, we have another character. I'm not even going to pronounce it. He's basically the Lord Regent mount version, character version of that model. So basically, he's a hero. He's unique, he's a wizard 1, and he's cavalry. He has a 3-up save, a movement of 14, a health of 7, a control of 2, and he has Demon Bane, which he has basically a Demon Bane sword, a sword that kills demons, and he has 12-inch range, 1 attack, 2s and 2s, followed by 2 rend, d3 damage, anti-demon plus 1 rend. Shock horror, it's anti-demon. In close combat, Demon Bane is 2 attacks, 2s and 3s, minus 1 rend, 2 damage, plus 1 on the charge, 1+1 damage on the charge, which is kind of nice, and anti-demon plus 1 rend. So you're going to go up to Scarbrand, you're going to become rend 2, and if you charge him, you're going to be damage 3. But you're always going to get the plus 1 damage, regardless of who you charge, but anti-demon is quite nice, because you don't often see that, at least. Then he has his other sword, which is 4 attacks, 2s and 3s, minus 1 rend, 2 damage, crit mortals. So 6s to hit are going to do mortal wounds. Nice. And then his horsey is weird kangaroo thing, has horns and claws, 4 attacks, 5s and 4, 3s, minus no rend, 1 damage, companion. Standard horsey profile. Then he has a couple of abilities. So reaction, you declare all-out attack command for a friendly Venari unit. And that's kind of cool. So if this unit is wholly within 12 inches of the unit using the all-out attack command, no command points are spent. It's pretty good. You can kind of do this in the Seraphon army, which is kind of nice, but this guy's got it on his war scroll, which is really, really good. Also, this guy comes in at 240 points, which is pretty decent. He has a spell, Solar Flare. This used to be a part of the spell lore, but it's now on this character. Pick a visible enemy unit or manifestation wholly within 18 inches of this unit to be the target, and then make a casting roll of 2d6. If the target is a manifestation, inflict d3 mortal damage on it. Otherwise, roll a dice for each model in the unit, and on a 5+, inflict 1 mortal damage on the target. Now, obviously, we are in a manifestation meta. This guy has a spell that smashes manifestations. 3d6 mortal damage is not to be sniffed at. Potential of 18 mortal damage on a manifestation. Yeah, that's a really good way of getting rid of it. It means that you're not going to have to use one of your spells to banish a manifestation, which is kind of handy, which allows you to do a lot more with your magic. So yeah, this guy for 240 points, in the way that the current game is being played, has a lot of utility and is really, really quite good. Okay, next up we have the Venari Lord Regent. Basically, it's the non-character version of the character model. Really lovely model. It's pretty much really kind of cool. I was really excited when this guy came out because it kind of gave the army like almost a combat leader leading from the front type character. I do believe that this is what the Lumineth really need. They need they need one of these guys on foot, I believe. But the Lord Regent comes in at 230 points, so for like basically 10 points less, you maybe, depends what you want. For me, I would pay the 10 points more and take the character. So he has no ward save. Straight away, that's already given. I'd just take the character version for 10 points more. He has a 3-up save, he moves 14, he has 7 health and a control of 2. He has a Regent sword, 5 attacks, 3s and 4s, minus 1 rend, 2 damage, and he has his Horsey has his standard profile. He has 1 per battle, your user phase. For the rest of the turn, add 1 to the casting rolls for this unit, and subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target this unit. So once per battle, you can use an Aether Quartz, and this is about the only time you're going to see Aether Quartz now in the army, and you get +1 to cast, -1 to hit. Not bad. Once per battle, your charge phase, charge the Lumineth. Pick this unit and up to 2 friendly Venari Dawn Rider units within this unit's combat range to be the target. You can re-roll charge rolls for the targets for the rest of the turn. In addition, if a target charges this phase, add 1 to the attacks. So your 2 units of Dawn Riders, which are going to be units of 10, can get a re-roll charge and +1 attack. These are going to be a lot of attacks that those 2 Venari Dawn Rider units are going to pump out. Again, if you're going to be coming up against a lot of manifestation, why not bring both the character and the non-version? If you're going to be bringing a lot of Dawn Riders, that is. Which I'm not too sure why you wouldn't. Next up, we have the twins. And the twins, not to be mistaken of Teclis and Tyrion, they are Elania and Eltharion. The twins are coming in at 300... No, they're not. They're coming in at 280 points. They have a 5-up ward. They have a 1-cast wizard. They have a 4-up save. They move 6. They have a health of 8 and the control of 4. They got the Blazing Sunbolt, which is 12 attacks. Sorry, 12-inch range. 3 attacks, 2s followed by 3s, -2 rend, D3 damage, crit, auto wounds. And then they have their melee weapons. So they've got the 2 swords. They've got the boy twin has the big sword. 5 attacks, 2s followed by 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage. And then the girly has 2 attacks, 3s followed by 4s, -1 rend, D3 damage. So the equal prodigies. So pick whether Alariel will take the lead or Elthariel will take the lead. If Elania takes the lead until the start of your next turn, add 1 to this unit's power level, and it has a ward save of 4+. If Elthariel takes the lead until the start of your next turn, add the current battle round to the damage of the characteristics. That is insane. Now, I just want to point this out. That if this unit gets into combat in round 5, that's damage 7 on those 5 attacks. That's amazing. Okay. Also as a spell, Total Eclipse. You know, Total Eclipse is a really good spell. You roll a 2d6, cast it on 8. Until the start of your next turn, the first time an enemy unit uses a command ability within 18 inches, your opponent must spend an additional command point to use that command. That's really cool. It's an 18-inch bubble. I was lucky to almost get caught into this, but my unit was outside of it, so I got out of it. But still, like 18-inch bubble was pretty solid. And then Sudden of Translocation. This unit can use this ability if any of the models were slain this turn. Heal D6 to this unit, then remove it from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield more than 6 inches more than 9 inches from all enemy units. When using the Equal Prodigies ability on your next turn, you must pick Elania to take the lead. Really good, and I think you're going to see a lot of these two on the battlefield, unlike previous editions where you didn't. I think they're really nice, and it's a really cool model as well. So yeah, pretty cool. Okay, so we got the Sinari Cathala, and a hero, and a very important hero that you used to have, and she's only 120 points. She is a 1-cast wizard. Again, you could give her the silver wand and make her a 2-cast wizard. She has an armor value of 6. She's in a dress. What do you expect? She moves 6. She has 5 health and control 2, and she's got Despairing Touch, so she kind of touches you and makes you feel uncomfortable. It's an elf thing. So she has 3 attacks, 3s followed by 4s, no rend, D3 damage. You don't really want her to fight. You don't really want her to touch people. Your hero phase, Darkness of the Souls. Pick an enemy unit within 12 inches of this target unit to be the target. Roll the dice on a 3+, subtract D6 from the target's control score for the rest of the turn. That's kind of cool. And Absorb Despair. Ignore negative modifiers to control scores for Lumineth Realm Lords units while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. That's kind of cool. Now, she has had a big overhaul because she used to have this whole mechanic thing that was around the old Aether Quartz that you could sort of ignore the minus bravery to Lumineth units that used Aether Quartz, and then used to be able to project that despair, that agony, that depression onto enemy units and then reduce their bravery over the course of the game. And it stuck up for the rest of the game. Now, it was pretty... There was a lot of bookkeeping involved. Kind of glad to see it gone. Really quite like this version. She's a really cool looking model. If you've seen the game film 300, this is basically your Oracle. Like the girl floating around with the whispery dress. It's basically what this is. Next up we have the Sinari Enlightener, another hero for the army, and the Enlightener comes in at 180 points. She's a 1-cast wizard, armor save of 5, move of 6, health of 5, control of 2. She has the Crescent Moon Staff, which is a 12-inch range, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 rend d3 damage, can shoot into combat. She has her Enlightened Blade, which is 3 attacks, 3s to hit, 4s to wound, -1 rend 2 damage, no abilities. Then she has a couple of abilities done in your hero phase. So once per turn, reaction, you declared the Speed of Heat, Overwhelming Heat, or Ethereal Blessing spell for this unit. If that spell is successfully cast, roll a dice. On a 3+, after resolving the effect of that spell, this unit can immediately cast that spell a second time using the same casting roll. Do not count the second spell towards the number of spell abilities this unit can use this turn. So good. So you can do Speed of Heat on 2 units. And you just roll it once. So that is really, really good. Absolutely amazing. Obviously, you need to roll 3+, but that's really good. Then, Ethereal Blessing, which is another one that ties into this ability of her that she can do. She has her own spell, which is casted on 6. So you pick a visible, friendly Lumineth Realm Lords infantry unit wholly within 18 inches of this unit to be the target, making a casting roll. Ignore all modifiers to save rolls that target, positive and negative, until the start of your next turn. So basically, you make them ethereal. It's really, really strong. And it's only cast on a 6 as well. And you can do that twice. Next up, we have the Sinari Cathala. It's another one of our heroes, wizards. And they come in at 150 points. Again, another 1-cast wizard. They have a 5+ save, move of 6, health of 5, control of 2. They have their blades, 3 attacks, 3s, 4s, -1 rend, 2 damage. And then once per turn, army, reaction, you declared a summon spell ability for this unit. So this is the guy that's going to be pumping out your manifestations. Change the casting roll for that spell value of 8 that cannot be modified. So basically you cast it on an 8. You're always going to cast it on an 8, which is really good. So if you want to take your purple sun, you're going to get it out on an 8. Yeah, pretty cool. And it's a really cool model. I like his little stilt shoes. Next up, we have the Law Seeker, the character that we all thought was going to be the close combat monster, and actually turned out not to be. But hopefully, in this edition, he might be. So the Law Seeker is 170 points. He is a 1-cast wizard. He has an armor value of 4+. He has movement of 6, a health of 5, and a control of 2. He has a staff, which has a 12-inch range attack, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 rend, d3 damage, can shoot in combat. And then he has his Law Seeker sword, his blade. 5 attacks, 3s and then 4s, -1 rend 2 damage, crit mortals. Pretty cool. So deployment. If this unit has not been deployed, you can set up anywhere on the battlefield, not in combat with an enemy unit. This unit has now been deployed. Note, enemy units that deploy after this unit can deploy into combat with it. Nice. So you can actually deploy into combat with this one straight away. He has a load of engine, so add 5 to the controlling score of this unit, more than 9 inches from all other friendly units. Basically, he's like a lone operative. He's like a little assassin dude. You can kind of like, he just sneaks around and he deploys where he wants to be. He's pretty cool. I like the lore behind this guy. The Law Seeker has good lore. Next up, we have the Venari Blade Law. This guy is an infantry hero, and he is 130 points. Really, really cool. Has a really big banner. Looks kind of awesome. 3-up save, movement of 6, health of 5, control of 5. He has a sword, 4 attacks, 3s, 4s, -1 rend, 2 damage, crit mortals. Nice. He does mortal damage on 6s to hit. Plus, if he has the passive ability of the World Banner, so add 3 to the control scores of other friendly Lumineth Realm Lords units while they are wholly within 18 inches of this unit. That is amazing. Really is cool. The fact that it's wholly within 18 inches is also really good as well. But yeah, 430 points, I would take them. Okay, next up we have the Venari Blade Lords. These guys are bonkers. They are 140 points for 5. They are infantry. They have a 4-up save. They have a 6 move. They have 2 health each. Control of 1. Now, their swords are nuts. So they have the Sunmetal Blades Perfect Strike, 1 attack each. Or they have Sunmetal Blades Flurry of Blows, which is 3 attacks, 3s, followed by 4s, -1 rend, 1 damage, crit mortals, and anti-infantry +1 rend. Now, they have Sword Masters. So, each time this unit uses a fight ability, you must pick either the Perfect Strike or the Flurry of Blows upon characteristics of all attacks that make with Sunmetal Blades. In addition, do not use the attack sequence of this attacks made by the Perfect Strike. Instead, just roll a dice on a 2+, inflict 1 mortal damage on the target. I had this done to me last week on my last game. I had 10 of these come up and fought my one Croxigo who had 6 wounds left. He didn't even bother rolling dice. He just rolled 10 dice on a 2+ and inflicted 10 mortal damage to me. Killed me like that. Absolutely busted. Really, really good as well. And the fact that if you come up to infantry units, you're going to be Rend 2, which is really quite nice. While the friendly Sinari heroes are wholly within this unit's combat range, this unit has a 5-up ward save. So yeah, you're going to have a wizard walking around with these to give him a 5-up ward save and a 4-up save as well. These are pretty good. I mean, if you're not going to be taking wardens, I would take a couple of units of 10 of these. Probably 2 units of 10 of these, because they're really scary, because they can literally just pump out mortal damage on you. If you don't have a ward save, they're going to smash your units on a 2+. Is that too strong? Maybe. Should it be a 3+? Maybe. But yeah, they are basically Sword Masters of Haworth in Age of Sigmar, so you kind of expect that. The Humble Warden, the unit with the worst spears in the game. Not that they're crap fighting, just that those things that are 3 inches long will guarantee of snapping. Probably one of the worst design decisions I've ever seen Games Workshop make. They do not need to be literal 3 inches long, and in a previous edition they literally had a 3-inch reach on their weapons as well. So Wardens come in at 140 points for 10. They have a 4-up save, they move 6, they've got a health of 1, a control of 1. They've got Warden Pikes and Blades, which is 2 attacks, 3s, 4s, no rend, 1 damage, crit mortals, and anti-charge +1 rend. Crit mortals is pretty good. It's interesting that they've kept the mortal damage on 6s, but Sentinels haven't, which is kind of interesting and nice. So, in any combat phase, if this unit did not charge this turn and is in combat with an enemy unit that charged this turn, roll a dice. On a 4+, they basically get strike first. Add 1 to the roll if the unit was a cavalry unit. So they basically on a 3+, you get strike first. Normally you just get 4+, you strike first. That's kind of cool. They're quite an interesting screen unit because they get buffs to being charged. So you kind of don't really want to charge them because obviously they're going to get strike first, potentially. And they're pretty, they're not bad. Like they're okay. Although I did charge a unit of 10 of them with my Agrodon Lancers and lifted all 10 of them. But then my Agrodon Lancers were buffed up. So yeah, swings and roundabouts. They're a classic unit for the army. You're probably maybe gonna take 1 or 2 of them, and they're relatively cheap. Next up, we have the Sentinels. You either love them or you hate them. They used to be a bane of everyone's existence during 3rd edition, but now they're Sentinels. They're just wee Sentinels. They're wee buns. 150 points for 10 models. Now, they obviously have a 5-up save because they're archers, like infantry. They move 6 because you're an elf. You've got 1 health and 1 control. You've got your bows. You'll notice a really big difference here on this war scroll. They have an 18-inch range, 2 attacks. They hit on 3s, they wound on 4s. They have a -1 rend, 1 damage, and they now only do crit auto wounds. They don't do crit mortals anymore, just crit auto wounds. And then they have Sentinel Blades if they ever find themselves in close combat, which they hit on 3s, wound on 4s, -1 rend, no rend, 1 damage. Now I'm going to talk about this hitting on 3s, wound on 4s in a second, once we cover the rest of the units. And we're going to be talking about why the passive ability of the 2 units fighting isn't really needed because they've already brought in the high elf aesthetics into it, but we'll talk about that in a second. So in your shooting phase, for the rest of the army and the turn, add 6 to the range characteristic of this unit's Aurelian bows, but subtract 1 from the hit rolls for this unit's shooting attacks. Okay. Basically, you can use this ability, lofting shots. You can add 6, which basically puts you to 24-inch range, but you're -1 to hit. So you're now going to be hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s. Like I said, they're not as potent as they used to be, but then a lot of the shooting across the board has been toned down massively, which is kind of good, but they're still pretty cool. They're archers, you know. Archer units are always kind of nice because you're still going to do that peppery damage to the enemy. Next up, we have the Venari Chaos Lord Knights. Sorry, Dawn Riders. Dawn Riders are badass, but they are now 210 points. They have had a massive buff. They are cavalry unit, of course. They have a 3-up save, amazing. They move 14, amazing. They have 3 health, amazing, and they control 1. So straight away, just looking at that stat line, straight away, you are on par with things like Chaos Knights and other big, heavy-hitting cavalry. No longer are you the light cavalry of the game, which they kind of were in 3rd edition because they were made of paper, but you are now literally on par with other heavy cavalry of the game. Absolutely love it. And they're really beautiful models, and it's classic high elf type art, cavalry coming in. Would I have preferred to see another cavalry unit be added? Something like a Dragon Prince unit, which is really big, like, you know, Varangard, High Elf, Lumineth Realm Lords, kin type unit. That would be amazing. But the Dawn Riders kind of fill that, and we've got a lot of buffs that they can do with other units around them. So their Dawn Rider lances and blades have 2 attacks. They hit on 3s, they wound on 4s, they have 1 rend, 1 damage. They do mortal damage on crits to hit, and they get +1 damage on the charge. So you're damage 2 on the charge, pumping out mortal damage on 6s to hit. And their horses are a horsey profile. Now, in any charge phase, which means that if you counter charge, you get to do this, they have deadly throws. This rule has had a massive overhaul. So if this unit charged this phase, pick an enemy infantry unit within 1 inch of to be the target, roll a dice for each model in this unit, and on a 3+, you're inflicting 1 mortal damage. Of course, you're going to have a unit of 10. Why would you not? At least 2 units of 10. They would come in at 420 points a unit. An absolute steal for 3. Just so good. Absolutely love this. They are really, really good. Now, when obviously, I've got a Sigmar army, I was really excited about my Cavaliers because I expected something like this. We got the 3-up save, we got the 3 wounds, but we didn't get anything else. So yeah, Dawn Riders, really, 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 really good. They are pretty much elf Chaos Knights. Next up, we have the Venari Star Shard Ballista. And the Star Shard Ballista comes in at 130 points for 1. It's a war machine. It's your classic high elf bolt thrower, but with more bolts. It has a 5-up save, it moves 6, it has a health of 5 and a control of 2. It has the Star Shard Bolts, which is 24-inch range, nice. 3 attacks, hits on 2s, nice. Wounds on 3s, nice. -1 rend, D3 damage, and obviously crits to hits and anti-monster +1 rend. Again, why are the cannons not having these anti-monster things? I just don't think Games Workshop likes Cities of Sigmar. And it has the crews, the swords, so they have 2 hitting on 3s, wound on 4s, -1 rend, 1 damage. And then you've got, in your hero phase, you've got the Scryer Hawks. So for the rest of the turn, add 6 to the rend characteristic of this unit's Starbolts units while it is wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Venari Aurelian Sentinels unit. Basically, get a Sentinel unit next to them, and they get add 6 to the range, which means that they're going to be coming in at a 30-inch range. How I would personally do this is I would be using a unit of Sentinels and then have 2 of these on either side of the Sentinels, and then that is your gun line for your army. 10 Sentinels, 2 of these, lots of shots, and you've definitely got the range there as well. And, you know, 130 points, they're relatively cheap as well, so it's kind of cool. They also have once per battle your shooting phase. If all of the units' shooting attacks target the same enemy unit, subtract 1 from hit rolls for the target's attacks for the rest of the turn. Again, you could also line up your charges with this. smash into your unit, and then give them -1 hit, which would be really kind of handy. Next up, we have Aval, the Stone Cart King himself. The big cow, the daddy cow, the mountain cow. He is huge. An absolute beast as well. He is 410 points. He is a War Master. He's unique. He's a hero. He's a monster. And he has a 6-up ward save, which is really cool to see. He has a 3-up save because he's a daddy cow. He moves 6. He has 16 health and a control of 5. He's got his Geometric Blast, which, to be completely fair, always screws up. 1 attack, 3s followed by 2s, 2 rend, d6 damage. If you fail to hit it, you're always going to roll a 1 to that damage. In melee, he has his Fire Steel Hammers, which obviously degrade from 6 attacks to 4 attacks. Hits on 3s, wounds on 2s, 2 rend, 4 damage. Then he has Cloven Hooves, 2 attacks, 4s and 2s, -1 rend, 2 damage. Now, on paper, that doesn't look amazing, but it really is. Passive. The battle damage ability has no effect on this unit while it is wholly within 12 inches of friendly Alra Stone Mage. Hence the reason why you bring a Stone Mage, so you're always going to get those 6 attacks. Then in your combat phase, you can pay 1 CP, pick up to 3 friendly Alreth units wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Yes, you can target yourself, and add 1 to the attack characteristics of that target melee weapons for the rest of the turn. Which basically means that you're now going to get 7 attacks with your big hammer and 3 attacks with your feet. Then he has once per turn army, any combat phase, Unbreakable Bulwark. If this unit did not charge this turn, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target and roll a 2+. Subtract 1 from the rend characteristics of the target's melee weapons for the rest of the turn, and add 1 to the attack characteristics of this unit's melee attacks for the rest of the turn. What's that? You're already +2 attacks. Yeah, really solid. The fact that if you're going to be bringing him, you're going to be bringing cows, you're going to be leaning into the Enduring Rock battle formation, the Fate of War, which means you're already going to be -1 rend anyway, so you can potentially be -2 rend. Then you can all-out defense. That makes you, basically gives you a 2-up armor save. In most cases, you're also going to be about -3 rend if you're coming in with big rend. I did this against him in my game last week. I come up with buffed up Croxagore that were basically coming in at 3 rend, and he basically ignored all the rend and still about a 3-up armor save. Now, he had to pop everything, so yeah, it was, and then he had a 6-up ward. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to him to turn the ward save off, or I would have done. I was unlucky enough, I put 14 damage onto it, and I almost killed him. And I probably would have killed him if I'd had my skink wholly within 12 inches of my Croxagore, but sadly I didn't. Otherwise, I would have killed him, but I left him with 2 wounds, and then he proceeded to muller everything that he went anywhere near. He is a big daddy G, and he's a beautiful model as well. Absolutely beautiful. Next up, the Alrath Stone Mage. If you're going to be playing Alrath and cows and Stone Guard, you're going to bring a Stone Mage. And the Stone Mage comes in at 150 points. 1 cast wizard with a save of 4, move of 6, health of 5, control of 2, has a staff of the high peaks, 3 attacks, 3s followed by 4s, -1 rend d3 damage, and then we have a couple of abilities. So in any combat phase, pick a friendly Alrath Aleph unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. On a 3+, add 1 to the rend characteristic of the target's melee weapons for the rest of the turn. Nice, +1 rend on the 3+, really good. Then they have Living Fuchsia, again, used to be a spell in the old spell lore, but now on a war scroll. Cast on a 7, pick up a point on the battlefield within 18 inches of this unit and to be the target, and then roll a 2d6. Draw a straight line between the target and the closest part of this unit's base, and on a d3 for each unit, friendly and enemy, that line passes across. On a roll of 2+, inflict equal amounts of damage on the unit equal to the roll. Pretty cool. You're going to kind of want them because they tie nicely into the cows. Next up, we have the Alrath Stone Guard, not to be mistaken with Hearthguard Berserkers from the Fire Slayers. Very similar units. The Stone Guard come in at, can't find them, 130 points for 5. Now, they are an infantry unit. They are Alrath, so obviously they're going to always get your enduring rock thing if you're going to be going down that thing. They have a 4-up save. They move 4 because they're really slow. They've got a health of 2, control of 1. They got the big hammers, stone hammers. 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 rend 2 damage, which is not to be sniffed at. And then obviously, if this unit has a wards, this unit has a 5-up ward save while all of the models are contesting the objective you control. Not +1 save, they just have a ward save, which is really good. Now, obviously, that used to be a 4+. It's now a 5+. And they also used to have a 3-up armor save, but they now only got a 4. So a little bit of nerfing, but they are a little bit cheaper, the 130 points. But yeah, you know, if you're bringing cows, you're probably going to want to bring in these guys because it ties into the battle formation. So yeah, pretty good. Next up, we have the Alra, Spirit of the Mountain, and they come up at 330 points per model. 6-up ward save, which was really nice. 3-up armor save, movement of 6, 14 health, control of 5. They have a geometric blast as well, which is 1 attack within 12 inches, hits on 3s, wounds on 2s, 2 rend, d6 damage. Then they have their Stoneheart Hammer, which is the big 2-hander. Drops from 4 attacks to 3s. They hit on 3s. They do 2 wound on 2s, 2 rend, 5 damage. Really nice. I like this. I like the fact that these guys pump the damage. And then they've got the Hooves, 2 attacks, 4s and 2s, -1 rend, 2 damage. So again, if you have a Stone Mage wholly within 12 inches of one of these, you'll ignore that battle damage passive, which means you'll always get your 4 attacks. And then once per turn in any combat phase, Stoneheart Shockwave. If this unit did not charge this turn, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. Roll a dice on a 4+. That target has strike last for the rest of the turn. Not as good as Avalor's, but having an Avalor in the army with 2 of these guys, what's that? You can have Alrath and 2 of these guys in a regiment. Why would you not? Yeah, I would. It would be really kind of cool, and they're really actually kind of quite good. And only 330 points as well, which is pretty decent. Next up, we have the Hurricane Wind Mage. The Hurricane Wind Mage comes in at... Where is he on the list? 150 points for a 1-cast wizard that flies around on a cloud. 5 save, moves 12, 5 health, controls 2, has a Vortex Blast, 1 attack, 2s followed by 3s, 2 rend, d3 damage, can shoot in combat, and then he has his melee weapon, which is 2 attacks, 3s, followed by 4s, we're going to be talking about at the end, -1 rend, 2 damage. So he has your hero phase cast on a 7, Transporting Vortex. So pick a friendly, visible Lumineth Realm Lords unit, wholly within 12 inches of this unit and not in combat, to be the target. Then make a casting roll of 2d6. Remove that target from the battlefield and set it up anywhere else on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. What's that? You have a teleport spell now with this guy. Teleport spells are really good because it gives you an entire board threat of being able to get in deep and take in those objectives or get to the squishier hero units that are floating around the back. So in your movement phase, Wind Leap, pick a friendly Hurricane Wind Charger unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Roll the dice on a 3+, add 3 to the target's movement characteristics for the rest of the turn, and the target also has fly for the rest of the turn. That is so good, especially with the speed that the Hurricane wind stuff can be already. Next up we have Severath, the Lord of the Seventh Winds. And Severath comes in at 350 points and is absolutely nuts. He's a War Master, he's unique, he's a hero, he's a monster, he flies and he's a 5-up ward, a 4-up save, he moves 18 inches, he has a health of 10 and a control of 5. You are never going to get in combat with this model. Alright, never going to get in combat. So, the Howling Death is a 12-inch range, 4 attacks, 2s and 3s, -3 rend, D3+1, can shoot into combat. Nuts. Then he has his Swirling Shard, so if you do get into combat, he has 6 attacks, 2s and 4s, -1 rend, 1 damage. This is a monster that doesn't degrade, by the way. Passive is a Living Gale. This unit cannot be targeted by shooting attacks made by enemy units that are more than 9 inches from this unit, so you can't even shoot at him. Then he has once per turn, army, any combat phase. Pick up the 3 different enemy units in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a d3 for each unit on a 2+. Inflict equal amounts of mortal damage, target equal to the roll, and subtract 1 from the rune rolls for the target's attacks for the rest of the turn. Amazing. Then passive, Spirit of the Wind. While friendly Hurricane units are wholly within 12 inches of this unit, they can shoot and or charge abilities, even if they run or retreat ability in the same turn, and no mortal damage is inflicted. This is really, really strong, and you're kind of going to do it because, you know, run and charge or run and shoot is really, really strong, especially with the fact that you can do so much with these. Next up, we have the Hurricane Wind Chargers, and they come in at 170 points for 5. They have a 4 up save. They move 14. Cool. They have a health of 3, so they're on par with Dawn Riders, and they control 1. They're on the Kangaroo Horses. They have their Wind Bows, which is a range of 12. They have 3 attacks, 3s followed by 4s, 1 damage, 1 rend, 1 damage, can shoot in combat. And then they have their weapons. So they've got 1 attack with their bows in combat, 3s and 1s, so they basically hit you on the head with a bow, no rend, 1 damage. And then their Kangaroos have got 2 attacks, 5 and 3s, no rend, 1 damage companions. Passive, Wind Charger Arrows. Ward saves cannot be made for damage points inflicted by this unit's shooting attacks. So no wards for this unit. Really going to be good against undead units that are going to have a ward save, or targeting units that do have them. But you're going to be able to do shenanigans with these in regards to your Fate of War and Severath as well. So, you know, if you're going to want a fast-hitting, fast-moving shooting army, Hurricane Wind Chargers are definitely at the top of that. Next up is the Hurricane Spirit of the Wind. So if you don't want to take Severath, you can bring one of these instead. Or you can bring one of these and then Severath and then 6 of these guys. Because, you know, why not? These guys come in at 240 points each. They're basically a monster. They have a 5 up ward save, a 4 save. They move 18 inches. They have a health of 8 and a control of 5. They have their Bows of Wind's Vengeance, which is a range of 12, attacks of 4, hits on 2s, wounds on 3s, 2 rend, d3 damage, shooting to combat, anti-monster, +1 rend. And then they got the Swirling Shards, 2s, 6 attacks, 2s and 4s, -1 rend, 1 damage. Then they have a couple of passives. So, Hunters of the Majestic Beasts. The damage characteristic of this unit's Bows of the Wind of Vengeance is 3 for attacks that target a monster. So, the damage characteristic is 3. So if you're going to target a monster, you're going to be +1 rend. So you're going to be 3 rend coming up against the monster and a flat 3 damage with 4 attacks. Ouch. By the way, Archeon is a monster. Just bear that in mind. So, passive, Spirit of the Wind. So friendly Hurricane units that are wholly within 12 inches. Again, your Wind Mages and your Hurricane Wind Chargers and other Hurricanes of the Storm are going to be able to shoot and or charge even if they run, and they're going to be able to retreat out of combat and not take any damage as well. Then they've got once per turn army in any combat phase. Pick any enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a d3. On a 2+, inflict equal amounts of mortal damage on the target. And then this unit can move 6 inches, and it must end that move in combat. So you literally just move out of that unit and into another unit after doing d3 damage. Next, we have the new unit on the block, the Yindral Riverblades. These are a Warcry warband, but they're kind of like a new unit that's been introduced to the Lumineth. I'm expecting this unit, the river element, the water element, to be the new sort of element that comes to the Lumineth Realm Lords when the Battle Tome comes out. And if the rumors are true, Tyrion on his Water Dragon. But these guys are apparently absolutely 100% busted. And they come in at 140 points for 10 models. They have a 5 up save. They have a move of 7. They have a health of 1 and control of 1. They've got their darts, which is 10-inch range, 2 attacks, 3s and 4s, no rend 1 damage they can shoot in combat. And then they've got the blades. They've got 3 attacks, 3s and 4s, -1 rend 1 damage, and anti-hero. Now they've got 2 really, really strong abilities. So in any combat phase, they've got the Relentless of the Driving Current. This unit can move 2d6. It can pass through models in enemy units, but must end the move in combat. Now, that's really strong because the fact that it says you can pass through enemy models, which means we don't have any ambiguity over what that means. It means that you can pretty much jump around units. You can it's a 2d6 move, so you can basically move wherever you want around those units. It's really strong. So your movement phase, travel the waterways, remove this unit from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield, wholly within 6 inches of a battlefield edge and more than 6 inches from all enemy units. From 9 inches. Why is this really strong? Well, if you take 2 units of these, this is a guaranteed 4 points from a battle tactic. And the reason why is because it can be added. You can remove them from play and set them up again on the battlefield, wholly within 6 inches of a battlefield edge and more than 9 from enemy units. So turn 1, okay, you could go first. You take 2 of these and basically take the flanks objectives, which means that you have to get within 6 inches of a table edge, the edge of the board, and outside of your wholly or partially outside of your territory, and you can basically teleport these guys straight to either side of the board. Boom, you got them, and that's an instant 4 points. Battle tactic done. You don't even need to think about it. You've already done it. So yeah, so strong to do it. I can see these guys being really, really popular, and they're, you know, at the time of recording, I believe they're up on pre-order. So yeah, I can see these being really, really strong. Be interesting to see what the river water element comes in the battle tome. That's probably going to be soon. I imagine Lumineth are going to be one of the first ones to come out. Last up, we have the Shrine of Luminor. So basically, you as a Lumineth player, you have your own terrain piece. This faction terrain piece flies, by the way. So it has cover and it's impassable. So it has a 3-up save and a health of 12. Yes, we can kill them. So the shrine, it has a Shrine Guardian. So while this terrain feature has a Shrine Guardian, so you have a Shrine Guardian if you put a hero inside it. The terrain feature has a move characteristic of 6. It can use the move abilities as if it was a unit. The Shrine Guardian cannot use a move ability and remain on this terrain feature each time it moves. So basically, your Shrine Guardian, like the terrain moves, the model doesn't get to do a move. Okay. Instead of measuring ranges and visibilities, the Shrine Guardian measure from the terrain feature instead. So again, you're measuring from a big ass piece of terrain. All attacks that target the Shrine Guardian target the terrain feature instead. So you've kind of got 12 wounds before you actually go on to the Shrine Guardian, but there is a caveat to that. If this terrain feature is destroyed before removing it from the battlefield, inflict D3 mortal damage on the Shrine Guardian, then set up the Shrine Guardian on the battlefield, wholly within 3 inches of the terrain feature and not in combat. That unit is no longer the Shrine Guardian, and it's not possible to set up a Shrine Guardian if it is slain. So basically, you kind of put a hero inside it, and you give that hero 12 health and a 3-up save, and you can move around 6 inches, and you have cover, and you're impassable. Nice. So in your hero phase, enter the shrine. Again, you can pick up this terrain feature does not have a Shrine Guardian. Pick a Lumineth Realm Lords hero within 3 inches of it to be the target. Place the target inside the shrine, and then you can exit the shrine. So if this unit has a Shrine Guardian and is on the battlefield, wholly within 6 inches of the feature and not in combat, that is no longer in the shrine. And then you have another ability once per turn, reaction. You declared a spell ability for this unit, wholly within 12 inches of the feature. While the terrain feature has a Shrine Guardian, you can re-roll the casting roll of the spell. So you get re-rolls wholly within 12 if you have somebody inside it. It's really kind of cool. It's a waterfall temple that's going to float around with a dude in it, and you're going to be pumping out the magic. I think it's kind of funny. Unfortunately, it would be hilarious if it had a combat profile. So your shrine Luminor can float around and fight, but sadly it can't. But yeah, you know, there are terrain features that can. That's the Lumineth Realm Lords. A really cool faction. And one of the things that I keep alluding to during all of this is the aspect that the designers have brought into. So as I said at the beginning of the video, they have a passive ability where they can pick 2 units to fight. This is obviously something that they've brought over from Warhammer Fantasy Battle that is kind of given to the High Elf 2.0 that they rather than having strike first, they kind of get to fight with 2 units. They've kind of already brought in the elf aesthetic, elf thing into them. If you noticed, on pretty much every war scroll that isn't a major character, they always hit on 3 pluses, and they have a wounding on 4 pluses. The reason why this is, elves are really fast, so they hit on 3s. Otherwise, a human hits on a 4. But they're also, there used to be toughness 3 in fantasy battle, just like a human, so they wound on 4s. All right? Oh, sorry, they were often strength 3. Just like a human. So they're wounding on a 4 rather than a 3. That's essentially it. So I don't really see why they need to have the 2 units when they've already got the elfy thing where they're hitting on 3s already in the army. But that's my just 2 cents. They're pretty solid. The wind stuff is really, really good. You can really make a really thematic army with wind and magic. I'm really interested to see what the Riverside is going to get once the new Battle Tome comes out, because clearly that's what the new element's going to be. The sort of Harlequin River unit is absolutely nuts. A guaranteed 4-point battle tactic, just with 2 of them like that. So easy to do. So yeah, they're a solid army, and you've got everything that you could ever want in an army. You've got magic, you've got shooting, you've got solid cavalry, you've got pretty decent infantry, you've got big scary monsters, and you've got shenanigans afoot. They're a faction with pretty much every playstyle you could possibly think of built into it. You've got teleports, you've got, the only thing that they don't really have is like a heal spell. Your magic is all like 18 inches. They're really, really good. If you're a Lumineth player or have been a Lumineth player, let me know what you think of them in the comments. And if you are interested in Lumineth Realm Lords, let me know as well. Otherwise than that, hit the bell, hit the like, and obviously subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. And make sure you check out my members and Patreon areas. Goodbye.